Did you know that Voyager 1 is currently traveling at 38,000 miles per hour through interstellar space, yet it would still take over 73,000 years to reach the nearest star? This incredible spacecraft has been humanity's most distant messenger for decades, sending back data from the edge of our solar system, where no human-made object has ever ventured before. But here's the mind-blowing part. It just detected something moving out there that's completely rewriting the rules of space exploration. Do you know what could possibly be lurking in the cosmic void that caught Voyager's attention? The mysterious detection. What if I told you that humanity's most distant messenger just stumbled upon something that's rewriting the rules of space exploration? Voyager's instruments suddenly lit up like a Christmas tree when they detected an anomalous signal showing something in motion far beyond our solar system's boundaries. This wasn't your typical space rock drifting aimlessly through the void. The object wasn't following any predictable orbital pattern that planets are known for, and its movement seemed almost deliberately erratic. Scientists initially dismissed it as a potential glitch in the decades-old equipment, but when multiple readings kept confirming the same impossible data, they realized something extraordinary was actually out there. The object appeared to be moving in ways that completely defied conventional astronomical expectations, accelerating and decelerating at seemingly random intervals, as if it possessed some form of intelligence or control system. What made this discovery even more mind-bending was that the movement patterns were so unusual that astronomers had to throw out their existing tracking models and create entirely new ones just to follow its trajectory through the cosmic darkness. The readings suggested this mysterious entity was operating under principles that our current understanding of physics couldn't easily explain, leaving the scientific community both thrilled and deeply unsettled by the implications of what Voyager had accidentally discovered in the furthest reaches of known space. Beyond planetary motion. You know what separates a wandering space rock from something that might actually be intelligent? The way it moves? This wasn't your typical celestial body behavior that astronomers study in textbooks. We're talking about something that completely broke the fundamental rules of how objects are supposed to move through space. While planets follow those predictable elliptical orbits around stars that we've mapped for centuries, this mysterious object was dancing to its own cosmic rhythm, moving in patterns that seemed to mock our understanding of orbital mechanics. The really spine-chilling part? It appeared to accelerate and decelerate at what seemed like random intervals, almost as if something was making conscious decisions about where to go next. Scientists watching the data streams felt like they were observing a chess player making calculated moves, rather than a lifeless chunk of matter drifting through the void. The movement patterns were so fundamentally different from anything in our astronomical databases that researchers had to abandon decades of established tracking protocols and develop completely new mathematical models just to predict where this thing might go next. What kept everyone awake at night was the unsettling realization that this object seemed to possess some form of propulsion or guidance system that operated independently of any known gravitational influences, suggesting either revolutionary physics at work or something far more extraordinary than anyone was prepared to admit publicly. Instrument readings gone wild. When a machine built in the 1970s starts detecting signals that don't exist in any modern database, you know something's seriously wrong. Voyager's magnetometer and plasma wave instruments began registering readings that sent shockwaves through mission control, displaying data patterns that didn't match a single entry in their comprehensive astronomical databases. The object appeared to be generating its own electromagnetic field, which is incredibly rare for natural space objects and typically only seen in active stars or massive planetary bodies with molten cores. Even more bizarre, the readings suggested this mysterious entity might be rotating or tumbling in a highly complex pattern that created interference signatures unlike anything scientists had previously encountered from asteroids, comets, or typical space debris. The electromagnetic emissions were so unusual that they seemed to pulse in rhythmic intervals, almost like a heartbeat echoing through the vacuum of space. What made the situation even more unsettling was that these readings were coming from instruments that had been functioning flawlessly for decades, suddenly encountering phenomena that their creators never anticipated when designing the detection systems back on Earth. The data streams showed energy signatures that fluctuated in ways that suggested either some form of internal power source or an interaction with unknown cosmic forces that current physics couldn't adequately explain. mission scientists found themselves staring at computer screens, displaying information that challenged everything they thought they knew about how objects behave in the cold emptiness of interstellar space, leaving them questioning whether they were witnessing a natural phenomenon or something far more extraordinary. The rogue object theory. So, what happens when scientists discover something that's, too small to be a planet but way too active to be just dead rock? Well, at first scientists thought maybe this could be a rogue planet, one of those lonely worlds that gets ejected from its original solar system and ends up wandering through the infinite darkness of interstellar space, sort of like a cosmic exile. These planetary outcasts are known to drift aimlessly through the void after getting gravitationally kicked out of their home systems by larger planets or big stellar events. But the size readings from Voyager's instruments just didn't match up with what you'd expect from a typical rogue planet. And even more puzzling, rogue planets don't usually move with such unpredictable and honestly almost purposeful patterns. They tend to follow predictable trajectories influenced by the gravitational pull of nearby massive objects. But this mysterious entity seemed too small to qualify as a planet, yet it was far too large and energetically active to be classified as your typical space debris or asteroid material floating through the cosmic wasteland. What really threw researchers off was the object's apparent ability to change direction and speed without any obvious external gravitational influences acting on it. That kind of behavior totally contradicted everything scientists thought they knew about how rogue planets should behave out in the emptiness between star systems. The data pointed to something that existed in this strange middle ground between planetary and non-planetary classifications, leaving the scientific community with, way more questions than answers about its true nature and origin. This discovery really forced astronomers to rethink their basic understanding of what makes a planetary body, and whether there might be entirely new categories of cosmic objects drifting through space that just don't fit into our current classification systems. Artificial origin speculation. The moment scientists started whispering about artificial intelligence in deep space, everything changed. Here's where the discovery really took a turn and made even the most skeptical researchers pause and rethink everything they thought they knew about our cosmic neighborhood. Some scientists began seriously wondering if this mysterious object could actually be artificial in origin, a possibility that sent ripples of both excitement and, honestly, a bit of terror through the astronomical community. The object's highly unusual movement patterns, those distinctive electromagnetic signatures, and its apparent ability to change direction without any obvious external forces, led to these hushed conversations about possible extraterrestrial technology drifting out there in the void. Now, while most established researchers stayed publicly skeptical and didn't want to jump to such extraordinary conclusions, the data piling up was compelling enough that even the most conservative astronomers couldn't completely dismiss the possibility of an artificial probe or spacecraft from another civilization. What made this theory so unsettling was that the object seemed to actually show behaviors that matched up with some kind of guidance system or onboard intelligence, responding to unknown stimuli in ways that natural space objects just don't. The electromagnetic pulses appeared almost like communication attempts or maybe diagnostic signals, suggesting internal systems that could be actively monitoring or scanning the surrounding space environment. All this speculation opened up some mind-bending questions about whether humanity had just stumbled across evidence of advanced alien technology, possibly an automated probe sent by a distant civilization to explore our neck of the galaxy. That would fundamentally challenge our understanding of whether we're truly alone in the universe, and what other intelligences might be silently watching us from the darkness of space. Comet or something else? So, when something behaves like a comet but breaks just about every rule about how comets are supposed to work, you've really got a cosmic mystery on your hands. The next theory that popped up from all the scientific chaos focused on whether this enigmatic object could some kind of unusual comet with a highly irregular orbit. But even this seemingly logical explanation started to fall apart under closer scrutiny. Comets are notorious for their unpredictable behavior, especially when they interact with solar winds and the gravitational fields from massive celestial bodies. That's what creates those spectacular tails and erratic flight paths that can confuse even the most experienced astronomers. However, this mysterious object was positioned way too far from any star to show the typical comet behavior that scientists have documented for centuries. It was operating in the cold vacuum of interstellar space, where solar radiation really shouldn't have much impact on its structure or movement patterns. What made the comet theory even more unlikely was that the object's movement seemed totally independent of any detectable gravitational influence from nearby stellar bodies. That kind of thing suggests it had some form of internal propulsion system, rather than just relying on external cosmic forces. Traditional comets follow predictable physics when they get close to heat sources, developing those characteristic tails and accelerating in ways that match established mathematical models. But this object just didn't fit those expectations at all. The electromagnetic readings and those weird directional changes happened without any connection to solar activity or gravitational wells, which indicated that whatever this thing was, it operated under principles that had nothing to do with the usual ice and rock composition that defines comets. That left researchers seriously wondering if they were dealing with something that was just pretending to be a familiar cosmic phenomenon. Interstellar visitor analysis. Sometimes, the most terrifying discoveries are the ones that remind us we're not alone in this cosmic neighborhood. Data analysis revealed this object might be an interstellar visitor, something that originated outside our solar system and was just passing through our cosmic backyard like an uninvited guest. Similar to Oumuamua, the mysterious cigar-shaped object that briefly visited us back in 2017 and left scientists scrambling for explanations, this new detection showed unmistakable characteristics of something that definitely didn't belong to our familiar solar system family. However, unlike Oumuamua, which seemed to drift through space following predictable physics, this object appeared to be actively maneuvering rather than just coasting on momentum from its original trajectory. The spectral analysis suggested it carried chemical signatures completely foreign to anything found in our local planetary formation, indicating it had traveled unimaginable distances through the void between star systems before somehow ending up in Voyager's detection range. What made this discovery particularly spine-chilling was the realization that if this was indeed an interstellar traveler, it meant our solar system was being visited by objects from distant cosmic regions, with potentially different physical laws or evolutionary histories. The object's ability to maintain apparent control over its movement after what must have been millions of years of interstellar travel suggested either incredibly advanced preservation technology or something that, honestly, challenged our understanding of how matter behaves across vast cosmic distances. This raised unsettling questions about what other mysterious visitors might be silently passing through our solar system without our knowledge, observing us from the darkness. Scientific community divided. Nothing splits the scientific world faster than a discovery that challenges everything we thought we knew about reality. The discovery created a massive rift that split the scientific community into warring factions, each defending their interpretation of the data with the passion of religious zealots. Conservative astronomers dug in their heels, insisting this must be a natural phenomenon they simply hadn't encountered before, arguing that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence and that jumping to wild conclusions would damage their professional credibility. Meanwhile, a growing faction of researchers argued that the mounting evidence pointed to something far more extraordinary than conventional wisdom could accept, suggesting that clinging to outdated assumptions was preventing genuine scientific progress. Peer review processes transformed into heated battlegrounds where respected colleagues found themselves shouting across conference rooms, with researchers demanding more comprehensive data before making any definitive conclusions about the object's true nature and origin. The tension became so intense that some scientists refused to collaborate with colleagues who held opposing views, creating an unprecedented schism in a field that typically thrives on cooperative research and shared discoveries. What made this division particularly bitter was that both sides were working with the same limited dataset from Voyager's aging instruments, yet reaching completely different conclusions about what they were observing in the depths of space. The controversy exposed deep philosophical differences about how science should approach unexplained phenomena, with traditionalists advocating caution, while progressives pushed for bold new theories that could revolutionize our understanding of the cosmos and humanity's place within it. Technology limitations. When your most advanced space probe is running on technology older than most smartphones, getting answers becomes nearly impossible. Unfortunately, Voyager's aging instruments and vast distance from Earth meant the data was frustratingly limited and sometimes contradictory, like trying to solve a murder mystery with a broken magnifying glass. The spacecraft's communication systems, originally designed in the 1970s using technology that would seem primitive compared to a modern calculator, struggled desperately to transmit detailed information about this unprecedented discovery across the mind-boggling distances of interstellar space. Scientists found themselves in the maddening position of having to work with incomplete datasets that arrived months after being recorded, making it incredibly challenging to determine exactly what Voyager had encountered in the cosmic depths. The probe's instruments were never designed to analyze the type of anomalous readings they were now detecting, forcing researchers to extrapolate conclusions from equipment that was already operating far beyond its intended lifespan and capabilities. Signal degradation across billions of miles meant that crucial details about the object's behavior were lost in transmission, leaving tantalizing gaps in the data that could have provided definitive answers about its nature and origin. What made this situation even more frustrating was that by the time scientists received and analyzed the information, the mysterious object had often moved to a completely different location, making follow-up observations nearly impossible. The technological limitations created a perfect storm of scientific frustration, where humanity's most distant explorer had discovered something potentially revolutionary, but lacked the tools to properly study it. Ongoing mystery. Some mysteries are so profound that they redefine what we thought was possible in the universe. As of now, the object remains one of space exploration's greatest unsolved mysteries, a cosmic riddle that continues to haunt scientists and challenge our fundamental understanding of what exists in the vast emptiness between stars. Voyager continues to track its movement when possible, but the object's unpredictable behavior makes consistent observation feel like trying to photograph a ghost that appears and disappears at will. The enigmatic entity seems to operate under its own mysterious agenda, sometimes vanishing from detection for weeks before reappearing in completely unexpected locations, as if it's deliberately evading our attempts to study it. Future deep space missions are being frantically planned with more advanced instruments specifically designed to investigate similar anomalies, but the reality is that we're still years away from having the technology capable of properly analyzing whatever this thing actually is. For now, we're left in the uncomfortable position of knowing something extraordinary is out there, moving through the cosmic void with apparent intelligence or purpose, while being completely powerless to determine its true nature or intentions. The discovery has fundamentally altered how scientists approach the search for unusual phenomena in space, forcing them to acknowledge that our universe might be far stranger and more populated than we ever dared to imagine. This mysterious object serves as a humbling reminder that despite all our technological advances and scientific achievements, we're still cosmic children stumbling around in the dark, occasionally bumping into things that shouldn't exist according to our current understanding of reality. So what do you think we're dealing with here? A natural phenomenon we've never encountered before, or something that challenges our understanding of what's possible in deep space? The fact that Voyager can still surprise us with discoveries like this just shows how much we still don't know about our universe. Drop a comment below and let me know your theory about this mysterious moving object. I read every single one. If this blew your mind, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you never miss when Space Facts drops new content. Until next time, keep looking up.